studio. My name is Ed Breen. I'm the host of this gathering that we have once a week where we bring together artists from Marion and Grant County to talk about what it is that they're doing, what they want to do, what the community can do, all things associated with the arts. Today we have a little departure from the norm in that we have the grandfather of the Fusion Arts Alliance. Is that unfair?
Well, I am a grandfather, but not of the Fusion Arts Alliance.
Well, is Pooh Bah preferred?
Pooh Bah, I don't know.
All right. Greg Fiebig, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Through the years, we've had various attempts to bring the arts and artists of Marion and Grant County together under a single umbrella. Varying degrees of success. You saw a need for bringing people together in a more orderly way. You had the discussion groups downtown for the better part of 6 months, something like that. Where are we now? Tell me where the Fusion Arts Alliance is today.
I think the Fusion Arts Alliance is in a pretty good place. My background is in organizational communication, so you mentioned all this stuff up front. I know a lot of artists kind of go by the seat of their britches, and I'm the type of person, if I'm going to step into something, I want to create it in such a way that people feel like they belong to it and are a part of it, and it's not just about me. So those listening sessions were designed to hear what people's needs were, what artists' needs were in this community. And there were well over 100 individuals who attended those listening sessions. And then we got involved in a little bit more strategic kind of planning with regard to our organizational structure, mission and vision, and that sort of thing. And we actually kicked off as an organization in August of 2019, August 10th to be specific. And then we sort of unveiled ourselves as an organization, sort of a coming out party, if you will, a debutante ball in January of 2020. And as you might imagine, January 2020 is not the time to start something like this, but we've been able to create a number of outlets and use those outlets throughout the time that we've been together to start to build and develop our brand a little bit, and also then to start to spread out and reach out into other things that we had hoped to get into this year, but because of COVID have had to suspend or postpone those things.
How much damage did COVID do to what you had in mind?
I don't know that it did anything except postpone the inevitable.
Okay.
So, I mean, we are still on track to be and do what we said we would be and do. It's just that our rolling out of the carpet, as it were, is taking a little bit more time to roll the carpet out.
Give me the mission statement in Reader's Digest form.
Let me give you the Reader's, not the Reader's Digest, let me just give you the mission statement. Fusion Arts Alliance exists to build a community that supports and advances the arts and celebrates cultural diversity by empowering local artists with opportunities to grow creatively and professionally. That's what we're about. And so we put it in a much simpler form that you asked for in the first place, is to inspire the community, empower local artists, and advocate for the arts in Marion and Grant County.
What is the most attainable of those goals short term?
Short term, I think, empowering the arts, or I should say the artists. We've already developed opportunities for artists to get together, call them mixers, call those kind of fellowships, kind of informal gatherings when we put people down around tables or in close proximity to one another when they're able to talk about their craft. And by talking about their craft, they realize that they have some skills that the person seated across the table from them might need, and vice versa. So these kind of conversations are empowering local artists. The other thing that we are doing, we've had a couple of pop-up galleries for artists. We have another one coming up in a little less than 2 weeks, October 16th through the 18th. And we have solicited artists who will come be a part of that, but also opened up the invitation so that other people who might want to come and be a part of that can come as well. And
What's the venue for that going to be?
The venue is Sender Wellness, and it opens at 6 o'clock on Friday night, but there's a gala that will take place at 7 o'clock where we'll have a guest of honor speak and talk about the importance of the arts in this area, and then also maybe an artist or two featured. And that will take place in the large room just outside of Sender Cafe there in the Wellness Building at 100 South Washington Street.
Should be a nice evening.
I think it will be, yeah.
Longer term, taking those agenda items that you have, longer term, where are your priorities?
In terms of inspiring the community, we hope that something like Artist Studio will do that. I know a previous episode included Tim Andrews, and it's kind of interesting because anybody who's interested in woodworking can now maybe make a connection through Tim to get involved in that a little bit more. And it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are, these are accessible to other people. Tashima Davis does a wonderful job of opening up her studio for painting classes. So photography classes, painting classes, we even hope to be able to bring some more organizational or business structure to artists. I don't want to throw artists under the bus, but they're mostly the type of people who enjoy creating art, not organizations. And so many of them don't know some of the legal hoops that you have to jump through, some of the paperwork that needs to be done, and some of the grant writing that is accessible to them. So we want to provide those sort of value-added benefits to our organizations and help them. So just recently, we wrote a grant ourselves as a part of the Department of Tourism grant application that was out. So Fusion Arts Alliance wrote this grant, and we were able to successfully get a grant awarded to us based on what we asked for. So now we even have more experience where we can help other people who would like to write arts grants.
In this same vein, artists can be a cantankerous bunch. Have you had experiences with artists who simply do not want to come in under the umbrella?
I don't know that I would say they don't want to. At this point, I would say they haven't officially. We have a couple of different ways to engage with the Arts Alliance on social media. There's a Facebook group. There's also a Facebook page that people can follow and stay abreast of what we're doing. And we even allow people to publish events and other things that are happening on our page to kind of help spread the word as well. We have this little thing called a membership fee. And for some people, I think that may be the determining factor in whether or not they're an official member of the Alliance or not. But I would simply say a couple of things. Our membership fees are nominal at best. For an individual artist, it's $25 a year. And for a student artist, it's $15 a year. And if you compare us and what we have to offer in the way of benefits, that's a cheap price for what you're going to get compared to other arts alliances and organizations across the state and around the country. But we would like to have more people join us officially, which will help us then accomplish the third aspect of our mission, which is advocating for the arts. So we're in the process now of trying to gain access to local facilities to be used either as maker spaces or as gallery spaces. And we are in negotiation with a couple of different individuals for those kind of things to happen. We also work hand in hand with the Marion City Arts Commission that is taking more on of the public role of art, but we want to come in, and when they're trying to find places for public art, we want to be able to provide those places and spaces as well and get artists plugged into those things. Probably can't talk about any of those specifically right now, but there is one place that we think we can get for the Arts Alliance as a gallery space or an art shop kind of space. There's another space that we think we'll have access to that will allow performance space and maker space, and perhaps even office space as that time develops. And again, there are more and more of those that are becoming part of the conversation. Time will tell what the end result will be, but I'm optimistic that by the end of the year we may have access to at least 3 different physical spaces that would allow artists in Grant County to be able to show their wares or perform their skills and talents and abilities, and even have a place where the Arts Alliance can call home, at least in terms of their office space and their, community space that they engage in.
And again, you have this broad definition of who an artist is. You have
Yep.
the performing artists, you have the musicians, you have the spoken word, you have the fine artists who are working on paper, in metal, all of the forms of art.
Yeah.
It's
All the performing
a
arts,
broad spectrum.
dance, music, theater, and even the media arts. So we have some members who are involved in filmmaking, and we hope to feature them in the near future on Artist Studio as well, so people can get to know what they're doing. Because one of our members actually is creating some television shows and documentaries, and he's constantly looking for actors and also people that'll help write and develop, and people who will work off stage with that. And the more people become aware of what he is doing, the more involvement people can have in the arts. And so the first place you're going to find out about those is if you're a member of our organization, because we disseminate information to the membership first, and then a week or so later we disseminate it publicly to whoever follows us on Facebook or who is a part of our arts community on Facebook. Now there's well over 250 or maybe even close to 300 people who are a member of our group on Facebook.
Let's talk about how the Alliance interacts with the larger community. And you probably see that as much as anyone does because you're representing the Arts Alliance. Is the community understanding what the Alliance is about, first of all?
I think there is some understanding. This is again where I would go back to COVID-19, because some of the things that we were in place to do that we had to suspend would have been huge community events. For example, we had worked with the Gardens of Mater Park and the folks who had put on the Arts in the Park event annually. I don't know if you are aware of this or not, but 2 years ago it was sort of rained out. And then last year there was sort of less enthusiasm and energy into that. And so we approached them and asked them if they would be willing for us to take that over. And so the Fusion Arts Alliance would become the sponsor for the Arts in the Park Arts Festival. And that was all in place. And some things happened to shut that down on sort of a statewide regulation mandates related to COVID that we decided to bow out of that. But we were already in the process of recruiting sponsors, local companies and local benefactors, local entrepreneurs to see if they would be a part of what we were doing. And a number of them were willing to come forth. But once we backed out of that, we kind of backed away. Now they still know about us. We sent a letter to all the members of the Chamber of Commerce. We anticipate in the near future being able to speak to the Chamber of Commerce about who we are and what we're doing. And we're still in the process of working with local businesses to get venues. For example, we worked with a local tavern to provide beverages during the Collide at the Courtyard. We worked with the city to get access to the courtyard, and then also when that was bought out then by Halstead Architects, we worked with Mike Halstead, who then opened up the courtyard for us to use as well. Bill Reese at Sender Wellness has been awesome about welcoming us and other arts organizations into his space. Bobby at the Kingdom has opened up his space for some of our monthly gatherings that we do.
Two spaces are dramatically different kinds of spaces, but wonderful venues.
Yeah, and we use them for different purposes. And if you're asking me what's different about my approach to this, and I sometimes have to struggle because you mentioned artists being difficult to work with. I've worked with artists all my life. There are artists in my family. I've been in the theater profession for a number of years, and I often referred to that as herding cats. Because creative
In the
people,
kindest sense.
seriously, creative people are wonderful people,
Yes.
and they have great ideas and they produce great work. But to get them to work together and create this synergy requires a little bit of give and take. And that's, I think, where I come in, because I have said on a couple of different occasions, if there is a local arts organization that is doing the same thing that we're doing, I do not want to compete with them. I want to collaborate with them. And so when Bobby decided to do the Rock the River Arts and Music
Bobby
Festival,
Pittman.
Bobby Pittman, the Arts and Music Rock the River Festival, let's not compete with him, let's work with him. When we learned of what Bill Sender was doing in November with these murals on walls going up around town, that fits everything we're doing. It's inspiring the community, it's empowering artists, and it's also advocating for the arts. Why would we want to compete with that? And so Bill and I talked about it. Let's get you on Fusion Artist Studio to talk about that. Let me see if there's a way that the Arts Alliance can help underwrite some of the costs for that. And I also then kind of gave him a short educational spiel on how to raise money, and he got money to pay for the paint that didn't come anywhere from the Arts Alliance. So now he's looking for some money to help house and feed these people while they're in town for a weekend. And I'm helping again, trying to do that, to make that happen for him. And we sort of come in as not even a co-sponsor, but one of many sponsors of this event that's taking place in November.
You're going a long ways towards answering my last question, and that is, how will the community know that the Arts Alliance, Fusion Arts Alliance, is here and wanting to be a player in the community?
I think you'll see more and more in local media as we begin to develop. I mean, this one coming up, we have information coming out in terms of press releases, and we're also inviting the press to be a part of that, so that maybe folks will hear about it in the local paper, and then also be able to hear about a critical response to whatever it was that they participated in. The other thing I would tell people is follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Join the Fusion Arts community on Facebook. It's a private group, but if you ask to join, you will be allowed membership into that. We have a separate group on Facebook that's just for members only, and in order to get onto that page, you have to have paid dues. We are also doing a couple of other things, and our cameraman here actually is working with us on one of these, and that's to produce one of the things we've promised local artists is we want to be a conservatory for the arts and arts organization in the county, so that there will be, well, we will be the place people will go to say, I need a photographer. Well, they can go to our website, they can go to media or medium, and they can click on photographer, and then all of our arts members who are photographers, their pictures and a brief bio and a link to their page, they'll have access to it right there. And so we want to do that for all the arts. We're doing it for arts organizations, theaters, we're doing it for singing artists, graphic artists, those kind of things. So if you need somebody, this is the place you should go first to find those. And you'll get linked to Community School of the Arts. You'll get linked to Bobby's music venue at the Kingdom. We want people to be able, we want to give artists what they really don't have the ability to do themselves, and that's is tell their story for them. And so that's what
Artists
this is
have the
about.
story to tell. You want to help them tell it, and we have a community that is receptive to listening to the story.
Yep. So
Kind of brings it all together.
Subscribe to YouTube. There are now about 15 of these episodes, and we will continue to bring those on a weekly basis. And there are some incredible stories to tell. If you don't listen to any other ones, you should listen to Avon Waters. You should listen to Eric Reeves, and you've got to hear Tim Andrews' stories. They're game changers. And if you're not familiar with their stories, it'll change your perspective of art and the need for art in Grant County and our surrounding communities.
Greg Fiebig, thank you for your time. Thank you for the effort that you're putting into it. On behalf of the Fusion Arts Alliance, we appreciate you, and we want to thank our audience for tuning in.
Thank you.